Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Art of Slowing Down podcast. It's Analena here, your host. And today I have somebody on my podcast that was here before. Her name is Virginie Crouzat, and I'm so happy you're here.
Hello.
Hey. So I'm going to quickly introduce you because maybe some people will still remember the episode we did. So I call you V, right? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So she is a one for manifesting generator with Sacral Authority, and we're going to talk all about that today. She lives currently in Australia. She's a solo traveler, a life explorer, and she has lived on multiple continents and states over the past 20 years. And like I said, she's right now in Australia, where she's living a semi-nomad life. And it took her to a little town in the Northern River in North Southwest Australia. Is that correct? No, no.
New, New
NSW.
South Wales.
Yeah,
New
that's what I
South
mean.
Wales.
I was like, my undefined Ashna does not memorize things. Anyways, and she's determined to enjoy life from a place of unconditional love and full faith. She continues to learn, heal, and live with while pushing boundaries of the conditioned status quo. And I love this so much because I just want to share this with people. So this is a little of a advanced human design episode, just so you guys know what to expect. So you have the cross of the sleeping phoenix, right? Which is all about this 2027 we have been talking a lot about. And I just love, even like anytime I think about the incarnation cross, I think about you. So because you live this so beautifully, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Great.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about, especially with this incarnation cross that you have, because it's all about going more with the flow, getting out of the head, really trusting yourself, especially also trusting that you're going to be financially being taken care of is a lot of this energy, right? It's a lot of patience and waiting, but then taking powerful action in response to what life brings you. So I'd love to hear from you, maybe some stories that you have where you can really share with the listeners, like how this actually works when we're living from our body versus our mind.
Yes, wow. And when you say it, actually, it kind of validates me even more. Like, it's not even validated, what's the word, but it was like, oh yeah, actually, that's exactly what I'm doing. But what comes to mind, there's a visa lately, but there's also how I came to Australia. I was in India in 2020, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to go back to Australia. And everything was guiding me to come back to Australia. And so it was February 2020. So the whole world was starting to shut down, and everybody was going to their own country, which for me is France. And I was like, no, I think I'm going to Australia. And again, I was just, when you like, through the years, I have been following this like inner pulse and also responding to things that excite me. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Oh yeah, that sounds cool. And the pulse is so strong that I don't even think about the how and how I'm going to finance myself and how I'm going to get there. And that's what happened again. Like, it's kind of constantly, but the biggest thing now, because I have been doing it with the small things over and over again, now I'm doing it with the biggest things. So moving to Australia in the middle of the world shutting down, it was actually fine. And I ended up being in Victoria, which was the most lockable city in Melbourne. But I was fine. Like, seeing how I have been supported all the way. And I couldn't work. Australia is one of the most expensive countries in the world. But somehow money was coming. I received some help. So it forced me to receive as well. All this was, really trusting. And the main issue for me when I do that is the feedback from friends and family saying, oh, but what are you going to do? Are you going to get a job? How are you going to do to survive? But somehow I do. And of course, it doesn't look like the standard thing, yes, I've got a few degrees. I went to university and I could just get a big job in corporate world, but it doesn't interest me. I actually burned out from it. And so yeah, the main thing which we might maybe talk about later is the main thing where I'm still struggling is having like a home, my own home. Like I'm not in a position to buy a house, for example, but I'm discovering the world and I'm moving around. And because what I want in life is to be happy, because otherwise, what's the point? And I'm certain that life is to be enjoyed and we're here to be happy. And yes, so following, like, it's like you said, sometimes following the breadcrumbs, and it's just by responding, not initiating. And so, as I say, I keep pushing boundary all the time. Finding a job last year was like that. Like people were like, oh, because then I was in a position where I was allowed to work. And it's like, oh, so are you looking for a job? I'm like, no, it doesn't work. Like I did sending the CV and initiating the thing, and it doesn't work. I never ever got a job like that. I always got a job through network. So that I just keep saying, hey, I'm looking for a job. This is what I've been studying. This is what I'm doing. I just wanted a part-time job. And a job came through network because I was saying no to going back to hospitality or stuff like that, my backup plan. I was like, no, I just want this kind of job. And it came. So yeah, so the hardest was, it's not the faith that something will come, it's responding to family or friends that are like seeing you going completely out of the norm. And but still, like, now they're kind of saying, oh, but Virginie, she always kind of turns out okay, like the solution always come up. So lately what happened was I was running out of my visa. So I was on a 1-year visa with they call it COVID visa in Australia. So it's a free visa that they give to people. They gave to people when the country was closed. Nobody could come in, but they tried to keep the people that were already here for like fruit picking and stuff like that. But then I work in a building industry, and my visa was running out. And I told myself, oh, so it's running out in November. And I told myself, I'm only going to start thinking about it in August. And I have 2 other friends that are also in the same situation. And they went on doing the research. Okay, which next visa can I get? Can I get sponsored by the state? Can I get sponsored by the employer? My employer offered me to sponsor me, but I will have to go full time. And it doesn't like, on the book, it's like, oh, I get sponsored, then I've got a 4-year visa, I've got a full-time job. Like on the book, it looks like, oh, that's great, easy. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to work full-time. I still want my freedom, which is also in my incarnation cross, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
the 55 is all about freedom.
Yeah, well, and it's so, like, for me, it's important. Like my job at the moment, I turn up kind of whenever I want. I still do the work, I still deliver, but I got a job where I turn up at 6 a.m. or 10 a.m. It depends. Anyway, so I didn't want it to go through my boss sponsoring me.
Yeah.
And I was just, I said, let's try it out. I'm just waiting for something. Something will come. A sentence that I say a lot is something will come. So I had those 2 friends initiating, doing the thing, spending money, getting into like English test. And I was doing the opposite. And I took it as an experiment, because I also trust that if the universe wants me in Australia, it's going to be easy. Something will come, because something always comes. And if it's not, well, then I'm just going to leave, and that's going to be fine. It's also really like waiting to respond has a lot of it with letting go, detachment.
Yeah.
Because the mind wants something. Oh yeah, I really want to stay in Australia. Well, yes, but maybe there's somewhere else waiting for me that it's even better, and I don't know it yet. So I was really, yes, of course I would have been sad, or it would have been an adjustment, but I was ready to see what happened. And 2 weeks ago, one of my friends, another one, put a story on Facebook saying, guys, today is the last day to apply for this free visa that I was on. Like, we knew it would kind of stop eventually. But she said, like, today is the last day, you have until midday to do it. And after that, it's not available anymore. So I turned up to work, that was a Friday. I turned up to work with my computer. I just called my boss. He was on site, and I said, "Look, I've got this visa. It's actually running out today. It's okay. I'm going to do it sometime this afternoon." He's like, "No, no, well, do it now. You better do it now." And then I just went on full mode, like, you know how we just do things very fast sometimes? It took
Yeah,
me
yeah.
like,
Your cycle was on fire, and then yeah.
yeah, like in 4 hours, I was doing work and my visa. I just put up the application from last year and I just needed to copy paste mostly everything. So it was really easy because I don't like admin
Hmm.
approved. And I just got another year in Australia and it didn't cost me anything. And it just 3 or 4 hours of concentration. And like compared to people that is like have months of worrying about it, going through English tests and stuff like that. So yes, it's just for another year, but who knows what's going to happen in a year? So many things can still happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so for me, it was really like my other friend that was doing the initiating and going to English, she got refused. She didn't get the visa.
Hmm.
And then I told her about this and she doesn't have the response yet, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah,
Yeah,
that was
and
like
like
the big things. Yeah.
yeah, I love it. No, and what I also love, so because I think the way to respond can really be misunderstood. Because sometimes we can be like, oh, it means like I'm not supposed to do anything, just sit on the couch. And but when you were talking about the job, right? Yeah, you were waiting for something to show up, but at the same time, you were vocal about it that you were looking for a job, right? So like you were talking to people, you were nurturing your network and all the things. And also what I love is that you said you got an offer for a full-time job, which is, oh my God, right? Like you said, but your Seiko was like, I need my freedom. And you have the courage to turn it down, which also turns down the visa, right? I mean, guys, just listen to this. I mean, this is a courageous woman here, seriously, because it's like you're saying no to all the security, right? I mean, especially that security that we think we need and must have, but you follow your body, your feeling in the body, like, no, I don't want that. And then you are supported, the visa shows up because I guess you're meant to stay. And of course, everybody's situation, you don't have kids, right? Yet, and you're not married, like you're really free and you can go wherever. So
Yeah.
but when we follow that gut feeling, whatever your situation will be, right? It's whatever is in our highest purpose and it takes you wherever. And like you say, you're okay with, okay, it's for a year now. I can be with that. If I'm meant to be somewhere else in a year, then let life show me, right?
Yeah. Yes, it took me a bit of acceptance, I guess, because deep down I was like, oh, I'd love, to have a house and stay, but I think I would want a travel still.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that I do, part of why do I want my freedom is because I do so much, like, I do human design on the side. I love to study all this kind of stuff. I also do some like I am being sent to different part of, at the moment it's in Australia, and I do like meditation on the land. So I had to let go when I found out. I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing. That's why I was in Victoria in 2020. And yeah, understanding that, okay, I'm here to do this and I accept, but then hey guys, I need some support. And yeah, it always shows up. For the visa, I asked around for an immigration agent and I was starting to fill up like a massive document with all my information of where I lived in the last 10 years. I was like, oh my God. And that's when actually it was like, because I was like, I was ready to, I was like, okay, let's see, just let's ask around what the options are. And when I was filling up this big paper, which for me, like I moved around so many times, like how many training I'm doing, so many trainings, how many visa in Australia, I think I'm on like 15th visa or something. So doing all this, I was like, oh, maybe just a COVID visa for another year would be actually okay. So it's I was kind of doing a little bit, but very, when I have time, not really putting pressure into it. And then naturally the thought of just signing up for another COVID visa came. kind of, oh, that could be a backup plan anyway.
Mm.
And then within like 2 weeks, I think that's when I had
You saw the post.
the story, yeah, for the COVID, to renew the visa.
Yeah.
So I was kind of also, doing a little bit, but just not stressing it out. Yeah,
So it's like you
taking my
were
options.
allowing it, right? You weren't trying to force it and push it. You were allowing what was meant for you, right? Which if you
Yes,
just sit on the couch and do nothing, that's probably not going to happen. But you were actively involved in the process.
yes, yeah.
I love that. Now, I would love to talk a little bit about how important slowing down is with this idea of follow your strategy and authority in human design. And especially, I mean, you are a manifesting generator with Sacral Authority. So, like, is slowing down important? What's the part it has in that? You're laughing.
Yes.
She's like, is she serious asking me this?
It is challenging, but then it's like an addiction, I feel. I need a day, a week where I do nothing. So we're just slowing down, like just looking at nature. No, it's yeah, because as I say, I just want the things now. Because I know that sometimes things go very quick and sometimes it takes forever. But slowing down, it allows you to, for me, it's all I love nature, I live like, that's also why I'm in Australia. I'm like, I connected to nature, I walk barefoot as much as I can. Slowing down allows you to observe your surroundings and nature, and you feel more connected to what is around you. And it's, as I say, it's an addiction. Like I can't, like it's a positive addiction.
I was
I
gonna
can
say,
like
I think it's a pretty good one.
it's like slowing down really allow me to step out of this busy life and people just keep going without thinking, like without even checking with themselves. Oh, I'm doing this, I need to do that. Like what people say now the most is like, oh, how are you? It's like, oh, I'm so busy. Like
Yeah,
everybody's
right.
busy. And so, but they don't have time for anything. But by slowing down, you realize that the day is actually much longer. You take the time. It's allowing yourself to take the time to live and be in the moment. It's really being in the moment for me. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and
And
drinking that cup of coffee or tea, watching the
oh
waves in
yeah,
the ocean. Yeah.
oh yeah.
And
Even yeah, I've got. Oh, sorry, go.
no, I mean, you have that gate 20 is your conscious sun, right? Which is,
Yeah,
it's all about the presence of the now moment. And I know so many times, you have sent me pictures like when you were sitting by the beach and watching the birds, and you embody this energy so beautifully, right? It's just the magic of being, and it's slowing down. It's also, the gene keys is all about the art of contemplation. That's what this is about. I'm so amazed sometimes when people talk about the gene keys and it's a very masculine approach. Like, you have this and you can figure this out, and it's like the gene keys is all about slowing down and observing and being there and enjoying the simple things of our daily life, right? And like you say, then even like the day seems longer because when we just rush and rush and rush, we really miss out on what life is all about, right?
oh yeah, yeah. But I guess it's also with the concept. I don't think, like, what's the idea of life? Is it like, you're just here to suffer and you just need to get a mortgage and get this and do this, and like no, no, like I refuse that. It's like no, I'm here to enjoy every single day. So I go to work, but if like I've got a little place outside, and in the morning I just love to sit down there and watch the sunrise, observe the birds, and if I want to stay a bit longer, I do, because I have this flexibility at work that I created for myself. But then when I have this moment where you just kind of take the time, just slow down, don't rush straight away to work, it feels like you had this time for yourself as well. You kind of already made the most of my day. Then I can give my time to others or for a company or something, because I had this time for myself. And if I don't do it in the morning, in the evening, I go for a walk on the beach, watch the sunset, you know, just lately I've just been going dancing on the beach, like,
I
but
love it.
it's taking the time to just, your life is precious.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took me a while to understand that, but yeah. And now that when you understand it, I guess you're slowing down a bit more, because you're like, hang on, slow, yeah, let's see what's going on here. Let's not go straight away with what we've been conditioned to do. Let's check with ourselves. And if you don't slow down, you don't have the time to check with yourself, with your inner self.
Yeah. I love
So
this
even
because,
with,
yeah, I just recorded an episode earlier today, and the whole message was about we have to learn to receive, because it was about how, you know, in all the religions and spiritual, it's about the concept of giving, right? And how important it is to give unconditionally. But I think it's so hard for so many of us because we have not even learned how to receive. We can only give from a full cup, and we need to. And that's exactly what I feel you're describing. We need to actually start the day with receiving, which is nourishing ourselves, right? Like receiving the beauty of life, receiving the beauty of stillness, receiving the awareness of our breath, and all of that.
yeah. And it goes with you know, all the generator types and project, like when you're here to wait to respond, but you need to receive something in order to respond.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not if like you've got all this opportunity or things like the universe kind of sending you things to respond to, but if you don't receive them, if you don't slow down to allow yourself to see them, then you're not responding to those things. So you're actually kind of, yeah, it's being more with the flow of life and connected, because everything, we are connected with everything, but we are aware of it or not, and really slowing down. And yeah, it's really beautiful. It's love. It's like you can feel the love really when everywhere, the abundance is everywhere in nature. So when you took the time to look at it, it's like, oh, you know, like expansion and growth. Like a tree, I keep saying a tree never stops
Yeah.
growing. It's like, oh,
Right.
I grow enough now, I'm going to stop. No, it keeps growing.
Right. That's
But yeah,
beautiful. I love that. I love that analogy so much. Yeah, and also because you're so we were talking about your conscious sign is gate 20, which is all about being in the present moment, right? There's a lot of patience and contemplative energy. And then the other gate of that channel, or the program part, is gate 34, right? It's a gate of power and strength. There's so much energy there when you, but only from this place of stillness or like waiting, slowing down, you can respond. And then when you respond, we create ripples of change, right? We, like, even like you say in your work, I honestly have this idea, which I think is not, it's probably common sense by now, especially, I mean, at least in the human design world and stuff like that. But I would put my hand almost in the fire that you are giving more value to your employer by working part-time than working full-time. Would you agree with that?
yeah, yeah,
Right? Because
yeah, yeah.
you get to take care of yourself. Like, yeah, I mean, how would your productivity be if you would have to work 40 hours? You're going to be like, I'm going to be here just to clock off the time
Yeah.
or whatever you say,
Yeah.
but you're not happy, right? And then the output is also semi
And
optimal.
if I don't feel too good, I just go away for an hour, go walk on the
Mm,
beach or go eat something, and then I
yeah,
come back. But you can see at work, like I'm happy at work.
yeah, yeah.
um yeah, it's no, definitely. And yeah, yeah, because I choose to be there as well. Because I'm not, again, with like I'm not in a state of fears like, oh, I need all this money. Also where I live, you know, I choose to don't um I have a small place in a shared house, but because I don't have this I'm not ready to put so much pressure on myself that, you know, every week I need to make that much money to pay, just to pay the rent. It's like, no, like I want some money to enjoy life, and then
Yeah.
yeah, still have a nice place, as I live in a nice place. But yeah, but what you say with the gate 34, I was reading, and with the jinky, I'm really taking my time to read the book of
Mm-hmm.
the Gene Keys,
Mm-hmm.
and I just read a little bit. And soon after the visa thing, I was called to read the Gene Key 34, and I think we were actually in that. There was something with is it 34? I think did we just pass the 34?
The 34th is at the end of November. I just know that because my grandma
Okay.
has that in her conscious sun. Yeah.
Okay, there was something else, but I was reading the 34 and understanding it just hit me the because it's like when you're in the shadow, you're like forcing things, and
Mm-hmm.
when you're in the gift, it's like a strength. And I
Mm-hmm.
really felt it with the visa, for example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I can see how on the opposite, I'm in the shadow with forcing things, with
Mm.
it's yeah, it was like the business side of it, my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I'm kind of trying too hard and putting so much pressure on it. Same with the house, like, oh, I just dream of my house, and it just kind of,
Mm.
not that I'm doing anything really to get it, but it's like really with the mind, I'm getting in the way and not enjoying. It stopped me from being in the moment and enjoying where I am now,
Yeah.
because I'm in like force mode for like, oh, I just want my house. Well, but look where I am now. Like, it's like learn to, I don't know, it's something kind of, it's like a ha moment. Like when I read it, it was like, oh my God, yeah, just enjoy, stop worrying about it because it's going to come as the visa came, as everything. So it's understanding, um, yeah, but I still need work to do, and, but
Mm.
the visa helped me, on the, like, I think it gave me more confidence in waiting even more for
Yeah, yeah.
the right.
Yeah. And even like when you talk, I feel like because you have shared this with me for quite some time. There's this vision you have of the house, right? And I also like totally feel like it's gonna happen. We're gonna have a big party, wherever it's at gonna be in the
Yeah.
world. But it's just not the right time yet. And like why we can't force anything anyway. So exactly. And maybe it's not even gonna be in Australia. We don't know. I mean, you don't know that, right? And it
No, I
could
don't know.
be
Someone told me we won't be, so like, okay, well, let's see.
yeah. So maybe it's gonna be in 3 years in France or in Italy or something, and then you will know the time is right and it's gonna happen just like that, and here we go. So because we're often like, yeah, we try to, I think we put pressure on ourselves to like, oh, and now it has to happen now and whatever. And I mean, your incarnation cross is such a flowy feminine energy, right? That's not where the world is at. We are still in this like, we need to plan and we need to figure this out and we need to have like all the things lined up and stuff like that, right? So you're really like, I feel like it's being a role model for humanity, like where we're going collectively, right? It's more about, yeah, trusting the flow of life, and taking one step at a time. And we can still have goals and visions, but from a place of not getting too attached to it and just not making it like you shared the story with your friend. They were trying to make it happen, a little bit forceful, put a lot of energy into it, and then it got rejected. And this is kind of so the gate 34, right? The lower expression is force. We're trying to force it because we don't really wait. We are operating from the mind, and then we force things and we put unnecessary effort into things, right? And your way is what I call the easy or effortless way. And I think many times people, they even get a little bit triggered, like, wow, effortless. I think they think effortless is like means doing nothing or putting no effort. Effortless means less effort. Less effort than is unnecessary, right? So we just put in the effort that is just needed. So we are perfectly efficient in the world.
Yeah, it's finding the balance that is tricky. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, how much do you try? How much do you? And that's where slowing down and
Mm-hmm.
responding kind of
Yeah.
help, I
Yeah.
guess. But it's always it's hard to kind of find, okay, how much do
Mm.
I push for it? Or even with the visa, it's like, oh, should I have gone with the other, like, the the sponsoring. I can't even say the word. I keep forgetting about it.
I guess it's not
But
relevant
it's
for you.
yeah, no. But it's really, well, it makes me like, what makes me happy and joyful. Yeah, but it's, yeah, finding the balance between, okay, am I doing a bit, or because I'm resting a lot, like I have days, yeah, as I say, like one day a week I do nothing, or sometimes, and I still feel guilty about it. It's like, oh, I should be doing this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And it's the guilt is really hard. Like when you say I've got a very feminine, it's I guess it's good to hear it, because yeah, I do feel like a bit of a, a crazy, weird, not fitting in the crowd kind of person. And even if I know deep inside that I would not be happy fitting in the crowd, it's just doing sometimes it's feel a bit not often, but if like, oh, I can't wait for other people to just catching up. Basically that's what I'm doing. That's why, like, I was wondering, like, what's pushing me to, I had a podcast, you will come back on eventually, but like, what's the force behind it? Why am I doing all this? And it's like, I just can't wait I just want people to join me where I'm at. I just can't wait for people to do this, because it does work, and your life is much more joyful. It actually, it's sad to see some people just kind of keep trying the thing over and over, and just spend so much energy and money into things, and or not understanding their creative power. And yeah,
you just said, so creative power, right? I don't know, just popped, and this is gate 1, right? Gate 1 is the most creative energy in the chart, and this is your attraction sphere in the gene keys. That's your unconscious moon. So almost like all the like in terms of relationships and what you attract, like, yeah, your creativity is super, 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 I mean, strong in your chart. And of course that only comes out, right, when you slow down, of course.
it comes out when I'm not working.
Yeah, I mean,
comes
when
out
you,
when
well, isn't that when you allowing to come through you what's meant to come through you?
Yeah, usually when I'm on a road trip where I'm fully, that's why it started. When I did solo traveling, for me, it's a very highly spiritual experience, solo traveling. If you're willing to just completely trust your intuition. And then I feel so creative. Like, yeah, that's when it comes.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize. So what is the sphere? What did you say? The sphere?
So is your the gate 1 in your unconscious moon? We call it the attraction sphere. That's part of the Venus sequence. Yeah, maybe have a look at it, but it has a lot to do with sexuality, our relationship dynamics, who we attract in our life, and it's in the 4 line, which is kind of cool. I have my attraction sphere also in the 4 line, so. Yeah, that's a really beautiful energy. And I also, what I wanted to kind of go a little bit deeper into, you were saying like, well, it's tricky to find that balance, right? Because people are like, and I think this can cause for people like, okay, now I need to figure it out. Like, how do I find my balance? And I have found, and also what you are saying, right? So we talked about the way to respond, right? Where we are just, let life show me where I'm meant to go. But then there's also often people think I cannot initiate anything, which I think is also a little bit of a misconception, because what I have found, I'm going to ask you also how it has been for you, but when I have an intuitive nudge, and you have a lot of the just knowing energy with your 2343, it's like, I know, right? You just know that kind of energy. And especially when something comes to me more than once, like, for example, we had a conversation about something, right, on Voxer, and then my knowing was like, ask her to come on your podcast. So, and in a way, I responded to what you were saying at the same time, right? So sometimes the initiating comes also in response. But it's like, if I have this knowing, I need to go to the store, and it comes again, I trust that, or even like, with my podcast right now, I used to be in this like, oh, let me just everything come to me. And as a 2/4 profile, especially, right, it's a lot of my hermit energy, which is great. But I have also started to realize, if I really want to step it up, I have to take a little bit more initiative. So when I have this, like, I want to have this person on my podcast that I really admire, I would really like to have on, right? I think in the past I was like, because it's uncomfortable. What if they're gonna say no or something like that, right? Fear of rejection. Here we go again. Now I'm more like, especially when I have that fear of rejection or people pleasing tendency to come up, whatever, I say the thing I ask, because if we're not, especially I think oftentimes also generators in particular, like they think they cannot initiate any kind of conversations, or projectors as well, right? But people, if only manifestors initiate conversations, we're not going to go very far, right?
And isn't it like with because we are manifesting generator, I've
Mm.
been told this very early on. I can ask because I'm a manifesting generator, but I don't know about the generator, the pure generator.
Yeah, I mean,
But no,
I
you're
don't,
saying like we all can ask.
yeah, so I don't like, because I actually did an episode about the shadow and the gift of human design, because there are people that can understand human design in a very contracting way, like, oh, you're this type, you can't do, and that's not what human is. It's like putting things in a box, right? And I see this, like I see it happening. And I think one of the reasons why I barely follow other people in human design at this point is because I'm so strong in my own truth with what I feel like this is all about, because it's only about expansion for me. And anything in
Mm.
human design where you fall into like, I can't do this because this is my human design, I'm going to say throw it in the trash can and live your life, because that's not it. And I think that many people can fall into a bit of a convenience of not speaking up for themselves or not asking for what they want. Oh, they had to wait for an invitation or to respond, you know? And we as managers, we also, I mean, we actually have to, because we are manifesting generators, we have some initiating energy, right? But it's more in response. And of course, it also depends on the specific chart. Like my incarnation cross is in the quarter of initiation. So I have very strong, and I have the money channel, which is one of the initiating channels in the chart, because it's a motor directly to the throat. That's initiating energy. So I get the pulse and I'm initiating, right? So that's why I may have more initiating energy than other people, but ultimately I know intuitively when it is for me something to initiate and when it's not, right? Like the human design certification. So I kind of initiated, but it was in response. Like I had people ask me, and then I met Miranda, and I'm like, intuitively I felt like, and then I asked her, and then she responded, and I kind of initiated, but it was still in response. You see,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was still kind of through responding.
yeah, exactly. So but they're also, and this was for a big thing, right? This was like launching a human design certification. You definitely want to follow your way to respond, and I did. But then still there was initiating
You
energy
you
in there.
you waited as well, right? You kind of, because yes, you launched it, but you had this like envisioning phase. You
Yeah,
allowed yourself to sit with it for a while as well. So you
yeah,
didn't jump on it as soon as the thought came. You kind of had the
no,
thought and you waited a while, right? And
yeah.
I
I
don't even know
had
if you thought about it before you met Miranda, right?
Yeah, I did actually. I found a journal that I had, and I think a year before that, I had it written down. I want to have a certification, a human design certification or something, but I didn't do anything. I was like, well, not right now anyway. So um it was about a year later, and then people, when I shared the human design certification, because I was an affiliate for Karen Parker, people were like, several actually, two or three, I think, like, well, no, but if you having one, I may consider it. So they actually asked me, because I guess I loved how I talk about human design. I was like, ooh, and my sacral was like, ooh, you know. And yeah, then I felt into it. I didn't jump into it right away. And then through a conversation with Miranda that I didn't plan either, like I didn't reach out to her or anything. She reached out to me, actually, something about the gene keys, the pearl sequence. And then it was again through responding. And somehow our conversation then landed there. it came out of flow. Like in hindsight, I realized it happened, right? So it wasn't planned, it wasn't logical in the mind at all. Yeah, and then it was also, the whole process was easy and flowy, and just all fell into place. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's finding, yeah, I guess it's through practice. It's really the gene key, the human design. It's very practical. It's not only, you're only going to really understand it if you kind of put it into practice.
Yeah.
So it's like, as you do, you find the, the fine tuning. No, it's nice. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's for my podcast, like, I don't know, it was kind of, I was like, oh, and also like, it's like, oh, did I actually initiate it? I didn't really respond. It didn't last. I did like 7 episodes. When they say like they only do 7, I was like, I'm going to do 10. I'm going to go up to, no, I only did 7. I've got a few that I actually recorded and I haven't posted yet, but it's really, that's where I was wondering, it's like, oh, am I initiating it? Like, I didn't really have anything to respond. Just like, I saw you, creating yours, and it was like, oh yeah, it's great. And it's beautiful to watch, and it's very inspiring. But there's few things I'm still kind of, I don't know. Well, it's like nobody kind of told me, oh yeah, you do. Like, how do you, in this kind of thing where it's just myself talking, I just want to share my experience. It's, I'm still in this area because I think I put more pressure on myself. Maybe that's why I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I'm happy to share some thoughts. So one, you're a mani-gen, right? Manifesting generator. So we don't finish everything. We don't go, the generator tends to, when they have a sacral yes, they tend to stick longer with it. And there's more focus, more determination with that. We manifesting generators, we literally like go like, well, right now people can't see unless I'm gonna put this on YouTube as well, but like we go here and then we only go that far and then there and then something else. Like our sacral responds to like things that for the mind seem to make no freaking sense because they're not connected. That's very typical. So just to share with you, about 3 years ago, I think I launched, also through responding, I launched a YouTube channel. Exactly like you, it didn't last, I don't know, maybe like 2 months or something. It was too complicated and, looking pretty on camera on the lighting and it was just like, yeah, whatever. So I did it and then I stopped. I feel right now it has been coming up over and over again. And I know I'm going to come back to the YouTube channel. It's going to happen. So that is very typical Gen style. And we have, because this envisioning phase, we have to literally kind of try it out to see how it feels. That's what the envisioning phase is about. And you did it. You followed your strategy and authority. I remember, I think we talked about it on your last podcast, actually, here on my podcast. And I think you were about to launch yours or something. I don't remember exactly. And you did it, and then you felt like, not really. That is very typical that's why sometimes we can come across so flaky, because you got to put your feet in the damn water to see how it actually feels. You actually do it, right? That's why we kind of should put a disclaimer, like, I'm just in the trial and error phase right now. Like, let's see how long this is going to last, but don't think I'm going to do this forever, right? So it may just be that, and it could be that you have another final sacral where you fully go in and you do a podcast, or not, and that's okay too, right? So it's not, and plus, manifesting generator in itself is like a 3-line. It's like trial and error. We have to try things out. Oh, this worked, this doesn't work, this didn't light me up, so plus human design is an experiment, so perfect. You exactly did what you had to do. And
it's good. Like, I needed to hear this. and
something that you experienced with the podcast launch, you learned something there, didn't you?
Oh yeah, right? Yeah. I've got so much. Yeah,
I mean, probably tons of confidence. Maybe I know if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was definitely pushing through some fears for you as well and actually facing them.
Yes. Yeah.
Because one of the big things, especially at 3420 mani-gen, like using your voice in NV, you have everything going to your freaking throat. You're a single definition. You have 6 centers defined. Everything goes to your throat. This lady has to speak. You have to speak. You have to speak, right? And it's so easy to feel like you're being too much, right? With the energy that you have. So the podcast was just one element, and it may come back. And of course, you got to find like how that resonates the most with you. It doesn't have to be podcast, right? Maybe you're gonna speak on stages, or you're gonna lead meditation retreats or whatever. I meant more in-person kind of events where you talk, right? I mean, there is no. So yeah, does the
Yes.
podcast feel better now?
Yeah, no, it's good. And even like the YouTube, like I have a YouTube channel. There's
Yeah.
like 2 videos on it. And I'm thinking of getting back into it, but also
Mhm.
like, because when I speak, you see like I'm using my hands and it's like, oh, I just yeah, like getting in front of the camera. But I think the podcast was just as you said, it's experience, and then
Mm.
speaking my truth. And it
Mhm.
was really scary.
Yeah.
Because it can be out there, but it's stuff that I experience and things that I
Mhm.
know. I don't, it's just so
Yeah.
yeah, it was a big challenge. And I think now I'm ready to. I was hiding on the
Mhm.
podcast. Like
Mhm.
people couldn't, like, they don't know who I am if I want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Um
That's
yeah.
funny. That's how I feel right now too. I need to show my freaking face more and not just hide behind the voice, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, like the
Yeah.
voice, because yeah, maybe I'm gonna upload this to YouTube as well, but it's much easier to edit, and it's a next level of visibility, I feel, having a YouTube channel and actually showing your face, and one day I have a pimple and another day I don't know. It's like, yeah,
Yeah. No, but
totally.
it's, I guess, yeah, all the technologies, everything gets easier.
Mm-hmm.
I feel,
Yeah.
so very tech person, but somehow it was easy. Like I put a music, it sounded really professional, my podcast. I really love it. Like
Mm,
you've got the
yeah.
music at the start, the music at the end, but somehow it was easy. So I'm sure like with the video,
Mm,
things are getting easier and easier. And you told me
mm,
once, I think you said, put it where you like put video or content where you consume content. And
mm-hmm.
I'm always on YouTube. That's
Yeah.
yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I don't really like the podcast. Like even on YouTube, like the all the podcasts, your podcast that you put on YouTube, I listen to.
I know you
Um,
told me that before, and I haven't put them all up. I
yeah,
know. Yeah.
because I don't even like, I don't even look at it, but it's easier somehow. My
Mm,
phone doesn't stop. I think with the other stuff, I don't know. Somehow it's
mm,
easier for me, even if I don't look at
mm,
it. I always
mm.
go on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm curious to see if you're gonna help. And it's for me again, like I gotta do this. Get the YouTube channel back.
And it's
Exactly.
fun. Like it's like, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm getting more and more to it. Like, why not? Who cares? There's so many stuff on it. It's like people don't even ask themselves so many questions. They
Yeah,
just do it.
yeah, yeah. No, and I feel like especially, I mean, for me, like explaining some things in the human design, because I can also like on the podcast right now, like yeah, we look at your chart, but and I post the charts usually on the Instagram post as well, so they can kind of see your chart. But on a YouTube video, like we can share the screen and we can look at the chart. And you know me, I love to teach and just get into the nitty gritty of a chart. So I think, and people just they learn much better from this, because I'm a visual learner myself. Like when I see something, like it really sticks. If I only read, or if I only listen to something, but I don't visually see it. I mean, it depends on the topic, but if I'm talking about a human design chart, it will definitely help me to also, see the human design chart. Yeah. And one thing, I mean, when you were talking about the, afraid to speak your truth, I mean, your core wound is Jinky 43.
Mm.
So that is in this Freako Genius channel, right? So we can have this huge fear that people perceive us as a freak or something, or we are from Mars, so we're aliens invading the world. So, of course, that's something you're working on, right?
It helped me to know that, and also that knowing that it's a
Mm,
projection projector energy.
Projector, yeah, exactly.
And yeah, like I remember I was crying when I read about the 43. I was like, oh my God, yes, of course. Because I have been called crazy so many times. You know, even my own partner, like my ex now, like, you know, calling me crazy. Because even in a conversation, we're having something. It's not just me dropping a bomb, you know, just like, oh. But I have been very careful. So now I'm asking, it's like, oh, is that okay if I talk about this? So yeah. And as I've been more careful about it, I feel like I guess I got more confident in myself through the years, and now I'm like owning it. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, but I'm really careful not to dump things onto people. Because we're not all in the same. We're not, you know, evolving in the same dimension, kind of, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean,
some people
exactly.
don't want to hear these things you have to say, and you have to respect that. So it's like, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's why I love human design, because we just learn the projected energies, right? Where we can just like, hey, let's just ask if they're open to it. And I have learned this with human design. Like I really, because on my podcast, we're on my podcast right now. I mean, I didn't have to ask you, obviously, but when I have people reach out to me that you know, they like the topic of slowing down, but there is no connection with human design and gene, because I always ask them now, do you know about it, or are you interested in it? You know, because I don't want to impose it on people. And there's sometimes people reach out to me like, I really love whatever they're talking about, and it doesn't matter if there's anything human design or gene keys in that, while it's still, I guess at this point, my favorite thing to talk about, but that may, you know, that may change as well. So yeah, like you said, we cannot expect that people on the same wavelength or interests, right? We are different and we're unique.
What's coming now is really like you have to slow down to learn about the human design, because it's too much. Like, you know, I've been how many years? 3 years I've been learning about human design, and I'm still like, I don't even want to know all the planet yet. I just go when I feel like it, and then I read about it. So you know, like I read about the 43 because you talked about it in a masterclass maybe a year and a half ago or something. Like I was like, oh, and then I just focus on this one, and then I let it go. Like it's really, because otherwise you get stuck in the mind. And so if you don't slow down, like it sounds might sounds funny, but it's yeah, because you need time to integrate it. You need time to experience with it. So it's actually, if you don't slow down, you're actually not going to get what human design has to offer.
Yeah, thank you for that, because that goes back to what Ra actually told us, right? He was like, all you got to focus on is strategy and authority. Because when we do that, it takes you like, oh, now I'm responding to something and I want to look into my North Node. And now I want to look at my radiance gene, or now it's gene keys, because now, of course, at the time, gene keys didn't exist, but now through following my strategy and authority, like I'm very drawn to the gene keys, or you as well, and it actually helps me understand my human design better. And that's my unique path. That doesn't mean that's going to be how it is for you or whatever. And I'm also starting to understand what it is about the 7-year experiment, right? You actually have to experiment what it means. And you know that I have a program right now, right? The Art of Managing Magic. And all we focus on in there is to live your strategy and authority. And it's the most powerful. And you and I, we have been working on this for over a year and a half, right? So and that's why I love to see how you embody this so beautifully, right? It's like we focus on just one thing, even though the mind wants to figure it out all. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the unpredictable magic happens, the things that we cannot plan for, right?
Oh, definitely. And it takes the pressure out. Like you don't need to know all your chart to be able to be aligned with your design. You just, your authority. Like it's strategy and authority. It's also what I focus on when I like if I give like reading to people and stuff. And but they want to know all the things. Like, yeah, but if you start experimenting with it, because then learning about all the gates, like about the planet, I feel like it's very individual. It's something, as you say, I guess you need to do it on your own time when you're ready to hear about it. Yeah, no, exactly, it's good. Yeah, that's it.
Mm.
And it's so easy. Then you just need to know your strategy and the center, etc. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it comes, and now I'm actually, funnily enough, the last several months, I have had less and less a need to look anything in my chart. It's also really cool because I started to realize, well, at some point, and this is my personal journey, like I don't need that anymore. Because I always say, like, all this is about is that we are really immersed in the present moment of life, and we trust ourselves. That's really, when, if you want to have it very brief and simple, why we have human design in the world is because we're so much stuck in the head, and we're trying to please everybody, and we're so disconnected from our own truth. So that's why we're humans so messed up that we need something like human design. And I think there's lots of people out there actually that are totally trusting themselves, as so in alignment with their pure essence, right? What they're here for, and to share their gift and sort of genius. But it doesn't require for them to know about human design, you know?
no.
And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I have to say, I'm very, very thankful that we have this as a resource, we have this as a gift, and I think it's our responsibility to use it wisely, because like we said earlier, it can be misused like anything, right? We can use this from a very conditioned space and say like, oh, you don't have this center defined, you cannot do this, or I'm better than you because I have this, and are going to be separated. And like, yeah, guys, that comes from a place of fear and separation, but we're going for love and togetherness, and how can we learn from each other. And that's how I mean, luckily I have always seen human design, but I have noticed from what other people have said or shared, it can also be perceived in a different way. But that's with any tool, right? Any personality test, like, I'm this number or this, and like we are everything. It's just like there is a focus, there's a, like, being a manifesting, like you and I, right? We have a lot of projected energy also in the chart, right? Like with your 2343 channel, you relate a lot to a mental projector, but you're still a manifesting generator, right? So there is like, or even like with a reflector from the totally open world center and undefined solar plexus, right? There are some elements that I honestly, I can relate to all of the types to some point for myself. Because there's a generator in us, there's a projector, the manifester, reflector, and but still I'm a manifesting generator. And that's why it's just like the strategy and authority, and then the rest just comes all together so beautiful. So guys, there's nothing to figure out.
No, but also like how we kind of need each other. I can see it at work. My boss is a projector, and I can see like when he's telling me things to do, it's just like bam bam bam. I'm so like, he direct my energy, I know what to do, and I just do it like so quickly. And he goes and then he fades out a bit. Like I can see, like, it's because I love that. I love to know the type of the people to observe. I love the it's like I'm doing a big, like it's not an experiment, it's just an observer, like oh, okay, so that's what happened. But I can see how we just relate to each other and help each other out. And that's something that I really liked in the Karen Curry Parker teaching. It's when she said, like, one is like the actors, and you've got the director, and you've got the public. It really, like,
that's true,
it makes sense. And so we need every type, and we need any profile, because we kind of like respond to each other, kind of. It's a big puzzle. It's a big puzzle. You're just one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. And that's how human design is meant to understand. Even the centers, defined and undefined. My open solar plexus is only so wise because of the defined solar plexuses. Otherwise, right, I wouldn't learn about it, and vice versa. My open solar plexus reflects it back to the defined, and we can help and support each other. And that's why we are taking the responsibility to you know, share human design this way, because I think that's such a beautiful gift for humanity. So I love it. I love it. We could talk forever about this, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
good to catch up too, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited too to get on the call with you. So thank you for sharing, you know, your journey, because I think that is honestly the most priceless for people to hear how it looks like in real life, what it means to trust yourself, what it means to follow your, in your case, sacral authority, right? And have the courage to do that. Because I think our fears, the illusion of security we often have, especially around money and stuff, right, holds us back from following that sensation we have in the body of what feels true and aligned for us. So thank you for modeling that.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I just wish, yeah, I want more people to be like this.
Yeah, that's why
So no,
we're
thanks
here.
for allowing me to share that. Yeah,
Of
no,
course.
sweet.
And V, is there, I said, so I'm gonna put all your details in the show notes so people can reach out to you. So you offer human design readings, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect, awesome.
And I do I'm into the Akashic record as well.
Yeah.
Starting, I'm gonna do for the rest of September, they can check. I'm gonna do some like a cheap an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to get more reading on Akashic records, because I'm getting
Awesome.
into this as well. I like how
Yeah,
many just try different things.
yeah, we do all the things and then we throw it in the pot and we mix it and it's a magic sauce. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So the magic V and Bliss sauce. I love it so much. Perfect. So yes, thank you for that. And then V, what's one final nugget of wisdom that you want to leave the listeners with?
I don't know, go be happy.
Yeah, simple as that. Enjoy the little things of life that are right in front of us. Awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
like the real thing, not the happiness by buying something, the happiness of being alone in nature and appreciating life.
Having conversations
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
Exactly. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And thank you for spreading your joy, which is all gate 58 inspiration energy. I love it. Thank you, V. I love you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning in again. And I'm very excited to be with you all on the next episode.